Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the Lost Coast podcast. I'm Cory Nunes, your host for today. And today on the show, we have Julia Jet Livingston. And my connection with her is through a networking group we are in. We've made the connection, and she's going to be a great guest today. Great guest today on the show. She's a coach. She helps people get to where they need to be in different areas in their life. So pay attention today, and we'll see if she can help you. Hey, Julia, thanks for joining us on the show.
Hey Cory, how are you doing?
I'm doing great. Really appreciate you being on today and giving us your time. I know you're a busy, busy person. So give us just a little bit real quick, your background and about yourself and your business real quick. A small pivot, and then I'm gonna hammer you with some hard questions.
Okay. Thanks for having me, Cory. So my background is, oh my goodness, I've had an incredible story. There was a time in my life where I was homeless. I was a train hopper. I lived under bridges. I didn't understand how people lived inside or had jobs. But after a while, I created a new life for myself and I opened a business. I opened a massage business, but I had no idea how to get clients, how to keep clients. I had all of this mental trash going on, all of this self-doubt, lack of confidence. And I was pretty sure I was going to have to shut down. Instead, I got help. I found a coach to help me, and she changed my perspective incredibly. And with her help, I built a six-figure business in a year and a half after moving to a brand new place that had never lived before. And I didn't have any family, or I only knew a couple people too. Um, and so I really understand the power behind this transformational coaching. And what I'm really passionate about is empowering women's success in business, empowering women's mindset to create fabulous money and fabulous dream businesses. So I have a background, I'm certified as a business coach, I'm certified as a transformational coach, and I'm constantly being educated more and more, looking for opportunities to bring my best to the world as best as I can.
Excellent, excellent. So in your coaching style, I mean, what's kind of the coaching style that you use? I mean, I know some people have like a strict little regiment, or you kind of more of a freestyle. What kind of coaching style do you have?
I'd say that it's a mix of both because everybody's different. So while I use a step-by-step process, which is a little bit customized to each person, I mean, some people, they're in a place where they need a 6-month program. Some people we just need a day together, maybe to get their pricing set, or maybe to really pinpoint spots in their money mindset that they can up level. And some people want to work on some parts of their business, other people want to work on others. But what I find is best is to really follow a step-by-step process with everybody and find a connection. Because when we find the connection, that's where we can create change on a deep level. And that's where the big transformation happens. And when those big transformation happen, that's where we get to level up in our journey.
Yes, yes, absolutely. The educational piece. Every client's different. Everyone's got their little piece of what niche they want to be in, and you're there to kind of help them through the ways and show them just little pieces here and there how to make things better. That's great. So as you're doing this, and you're showing them, because I'm sure you got to handle. I mean, any business, their finances are a big part of it. So you're going to help them like manage their debt and manage those kind of things and stuff like that, correct?
I'm not a financial manager.
Oh, you don't do the finance part. I thought you. Excuse me. I'm sorry. I thought you're kind of helping them with you said some pricing and stuff like that. So
Oh yeah. So, well, with pricing, I think that women especially, what happens is we get worried about whether whether people are going to like us. I think that happens for all people, but I think women especially, and as a woman, it's much easier for me to connect. But a lot of us downplay our self-worth. And in ways that can put us out of business, in ways that can end us in poverty. We can lose money because we're not pricing ourselves. We're not seeing our worth. And when we're not seeing our worth, we're not going to make the money that we need to thrive and to flourish and to get our business to where we want to be so that we can be generous and have the time that we need to spend with our friends and our families. We could end up just on this hamster wheel of constantly having to work and not having time for anything else. But when we find the perfect place to price our services or our products, then we're able to create the freedom in our lives.
Nice, nice. Yes, I couldn't agree anymore. And you just kind of tweak that to each one's individual styles, I guess, and their individual business, and just help them along the way. So you say you can work with people and for long term or short term then.
Mhm.
And so give me an example of, maybe no names or anything like that, but give me an example of like one of your best clients you've had that's been a long-term client.
Oh, for sure. I have this wonderful client who came to me because she was struggling. I love this because she's a massage therapist and I'm a massage. I've done the thing too. And she came to me because she had just opened a business and she was having trouble getting clients. And so while we looked at it, we looked at who she needed, who she wanted to help, who her perfect clients are, and how much money she needed to make, how much money she wanted to make. And we looked at her marketing and her branding. And once we looked at all of that, we were really able to come up with a wonderful formula that, well, it doubled her clients within 2 months.
No.
And she's making more money. And it's that kind of change that I love seeing for my clients.
Yeah, excellent. What about a short-term client? What's the best example you got of your short-term client that when they came and then you made some miraculous thing in a 1 or 2 meeting situation?
Well, I have money mindset VIP days. So in one day, what we do is we take all of these different aspects of money mindset, from what the amount of money that we want to make and how many hours in a week we want to work, how many weeks a year we want to work. Because I think a lot of people, we get caught up. Okay, so there's 52 weeks in a year. So then if I work all of this time, then I might be able to make this much money. Well, we forget that there's going to be sick days. If you're an entrepreneur, we're paying for our own sick days. We're paying for our own retirement. We're paying for our own vacations. It's all on us. So it's very important to take that into account when we're creating this dream, because this is what it's all about. Our mindset is about our dream, and it's about creating this momentum towards it. So in these VIP days, we find out how much we're going to be making in 3 years, and we create the entire mindset that we need to have around that. Because the way it usually happens is where we are now isn't where we need to be.
Right.
The person who makes the money that we want to be making is a different person. How does that person answer their voicemail? How do they answer their phone? How do they respond to an email? How do they dress? What kinds of things are they still out there mowing their own yard? Are you going to have time for that if you're making $200 plus an hour? I mean, it's important to really look at what we're saying yes and no to, because that's what's going to affect how much money we can bring in and how much money we think is possible for us. So in this day, we look at all of these things, including the thing the way our mindset works around negative beliefs and positive beliefs, and transforming a lot of our negative thinking into something positive. Because I know for myself, it still happens, but especially before I did this kind of work, I would say things to myself that I wouldn't say to a dear friend or a family member. I would just, I could be so cruel to myself. But the saddest thing about that is it wasn't true. None of that was true, and none of it was helping me get to where I need to be. I used to use the excuse of, well, if I'm hard on myself, then I'll get to where I need to be. But I've found that when I degrade myself, really that's just pulling me back. It's pulling me back. Whereas when I'm really happy and grateful, I mean, gratitude pulls me into abundance because I'm realizing all of the wonderful things that I'm surrounded by. I'm already in abundance.
Yeah,
So when I change my perspective from negativity to a positive abundance, then that's going to pull me towards the life that I want and the life that I'm creating.
absolutely. I was on another interview today earlier, and the lady mentioned we weren't born to be unhappy. That's so. I mean, it falls right in. You got to have the mindset to stay happy. Don't If you start beating yourself down like you're saying. I mean, you you're gonna hide. If you build yourself up, you'll get out there more, which will get you in front of more options, more situations, which gives you, what you need to keep building yourself up. If you're going downhill, the ball goes fast. It may roll slower uphill, but it goes downhill a lot faster. Couldn't
And yeah, it's
agree.
so important to practice being happy, because while we may not be made to be unhappy, our brains aren't really made for happiness either. They're made for survival. And so when we see something wrong, that sets off big alarms. Oh my goodness, is there a bear out there? Am I gonna die? You know? But that is like our old reptilian brain that's just trying to keep us alive. When we truly want to thrive, we have to nourish that part of us, that positive, abundant part of us that's setting a whole vibrant vibration.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, get out of your head, get going, and get moving. Now, being a coach and that happening, you must have had to have some, oh, for lack of a better way of putting it, not so good clients. I mean, so what's some advice if somebody was going to start being a coach? What's the best advice you can give them as far as starting their business and what to look for, and just whatever you can give our listeners here so they can kind of get a feel for what they think to get started.
It's so important to have your ideal client in mind, because when you know who the person is that you want to help, you are going to have you're going to have clear messaging to get through to that person, and it's going to help them find you. And also, when you have your ideal client in mind, you're going to be better at upholding your policies and noticing when maybe somebody isn't the perfect match, because we can't work with everybody. Not everyone is going to be my client. Maybe they'd be perfect for somebody else, but it's almost doing a disservice to
Yeah,
somebody if they're doing something that's off brand for me, because how am I going to help them if it's not something that I do? And if they are in a place where they're not ready to be fully in themselves and really show up 100%, because I'm going to show up. There's no 50-50. I'm showing up 100%, and my client needs to show up 100%. And then that way we can do 200%. And that's pretty good. That's pretty good, right?
yeah,
So it's important to make sure that clients are willing to truly be resourceful, show up for themselves. I think that's the most important thing in coaching, is that I'm a coach. I'm not a magician, but magic can happen when people show up 100% for themselves and for their business.
absolutely, absolutely. So in that matter, then, knowing who your niche client is, your greatest client that you can help, what is your greatest client? If you had a perfect client, who is that?
Oh my goodness. My perfect client is a woman who wants to make more money than she ever has before working in her service-based business. She might be struggling or maybe she's already built a business that she's proud of. But the thing is that she's ready to step into the next level. And the next level isn't just money. It's about a whole opening of the spirit. It is a spiritual new level because I'm not just a business coach. I'm a transformational healer. And I am all about creating this confident, powerful change in the women that I work with. My perfect client is looking to create more abundance in spirit and in their personal life, in their business. I'm all about that because I just love seeing a change in mindset and just this wide opening to the like expansiveness and creativity of the universe.
Yeah, so we can definitely tell that you want to help the women out there. Now, what about the rest of the world out here? Us guys, I mean, you got to be able to give us some help too. I mean, you know, it's and I'm just joking around with you, but I know you'd probably help guys too. Not a problem, correct?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
I have a free Facebook group called Business Freedom Guide, and there's plenty of guys on there.
Yeah, no, I'm just joking. I'm just joking. As you're going, I'm thinking of some other, people in my industry that I think I need to really connect you with. They're women themselves who are out there they're promoting financial help for women, and they're in the financial industry. So maybe between the two of you and the connections, you guys can kind of find some working ground to kind of help each other and help all the women out there financially. Because I mean,
Yeah.
statistically shows um, women have a harder time getting those financial situations than men do for whatever reason. I'm not sure, but it just those are just statistics that are thrown out there that they
Well,
don't
it's
deal
old,
with.
it's very old programming from uh, I mean from like cave age days, women took care of the home and men went out and got the food and all of the resources, and that carried on till pretty recently. I mean, I would say probably in the 90s is when women really started coming into their own and um, creating their own financial backgrounds. And even then it was still there, even now it's still a little bit taboo. And but as women, we're getting more and more money than we ever have before. We're opening more and more businesses than we ever have before. And there's a huge wealth of opportunities for all of us when we just get out there and create the change that we want to see in the world.
Absolutely, absolutely. We just have to, like you say, got to get out of our head. Yep,
Totally.
and make it all happen. So you know what's so we've talked about some of the good, but what's been your biggest challenge though? Being a coach and becoming a coach and the stuff that you help people with.
Biggest challenge.
I got you on a stumped one. That's good.
Yeah, yeah. What is my biggest challenge? Um, I think it's really hard when people don't take responsibility for their lives. That's pretty hard for me. And it takes a little bit of finagling to coach through. But the important thing with being coachable is taking responsibility for our own lives and and that means that doesn't mean that all of the things or trauma or any of that stuff that happened to us is necessarily our fault. But what it does mean is that going forward, we are taking responsibility in our businesses and our finances and our future because those are the things that we have power over.
Yes, yes, absolutely. Yeah, I could see that too. If getting the struggle you would have would be you have the client in front of you, you can help them, but they're not opening it up enough to give you the information to let you make their life better. So they're kind of being closed off. And I can see that. I mean, even myself, coming from a construction company, we don't we we were taught and to be strong, don't show our feelings, don't,
Mm.
be, you got to be pretty rigid. And then you start to, now that I've gotten out and over it, you start to soften, and I've learned to just myself kind of open up and be a little bit different and not be afraid of some getting out of my own head, that I don't have to be like John over there or Bill over here. I could just be Cory and be okay with it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Something I've noticed, especially with people who are just starting coaching, like clients who are just starting coaching, is they are so willing to fight for the things that are bringing them down.
Yeah.
And they will fight. I've seen people just want to fight tooth and nail for the things that bring them down. And I I can't listen to that for very long, because we're going up. We're going up. We're taking the responsibility and we're taking this upward. And I can't help but think that if we were to put the exact same amount of energy that we give ourselves to pull ourselves down into bringing ourselves up, then just imagine where we could be.
Totally agree. So we're coming kind of towards the end of this. Give our listeners kind of a piece that you want to leave them with, kind of the best advice you can give them right now, other than, of course, hey, everybody, reach out and give Julia a call, because she can give you a hand. But give our listeners a piece right now, give them a little nugget of what the best advice you could give them could be, so they can get it stuck in their head.
Oh my goodness. Best advice ever. Goodness. So many good pieces of advice running through my head right now.
Well, you can do more than one, I guess, but yeah, just give our listeners something to take away from this.
I'm going to go really basic here, because I truly believe that gratitude is the magic ticket to happiness, because we can choose to be happy. And sometimes creating a business or growing a business or getting to the next level in a business can be stressful, or maybe it'll make you sad. But when we take a moment to change our state with gratitude, we change the way we feel, we change ourselves emotionally. And maybe we're trying to build a business because we think that once we get to a perceived finish line, that's when we'll be happy. But we can choose to be happy now. And my favorite way to change into happiness at any time is through gratitude.
Well, there you have it, folks. If you take nothing away from it, this show today is Julia says, take gratitude, give gratitude, be gratitude, accept gratitude, and be happy. So, Julia, I want to thank you for being on the show today. You were great. You did a fantastic job. And our listeners, reach out to Julia if you want a little advice. Make sure you check out her Facebook stuff and all that stuff. We will have that in the links below on this video. So don't be afraid to reach out to Julia and let her know that you've seen her video. And that's what we got today on the Lost Coast podcast. I'm your host, Cory Nunes, and we are signing off, and we will see you next time. Thank you all.